All right, it's my pleasure to introduce the Central Oklahoma Broncos to you. So representing them is head coach Nick Bobeck, offensive lineman Tyler Stilwell, and defensive back O'Shea Harris. Coach, would you please provide us with any kind of opening statement or anything you'd like to say?
Yes, sir. We're obviously this time of year you end up coming to media day. There's kind of signals throughout the summer. Once July 4th hits, everything's getting really close. Then once media day hits, summer's over. So it's an exciting time being able to come to media day, being able to talk to all the coaches, and being able to interact with the players, which is a heck of a lot of fun. And then being able to come up here, sit and represent the University of Central Oklahoma is an exciting thing for us. And it's exciting for me to be able to bring Tyler Stilwell and O'Shea Harris. Both of these guys are Oklahoma high school kids that have developed in our program over 5 years, and both of them, O'Shea being an All-American last year, and then Tyler being an All-Conference player. It's really what we're striving for within our football program is the kids that are coming and staying in our program are graduating at a 95% rate, and these guys will both graduate in December, and we're excited about that. We feel like that's where you find true consistency within your program is, when your graduation rates, level out, you put yourself in a great situation to be a consistent football team, and that's something that, the great teams in the MIAA do. We've got a lot of kids coming back on, this football team. The majority of our offensive football team is coming back. I think we lose 2 kids. From last year's football team, and Noah Hammonds and Clay McKenzie, both excellent football players, but you get the majority of those guys back. And then on the defensive side of the ball, obviously having a guy like O'Shea Harris and some of the returners that we've got coming back, we're excited about that. We're replacing a lot more kids on paper on the defensive side of the ball than what we are on the offensive side of the ball. We've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football. Especially at the linebacker position, guys like Dylan Hall and Jeremiah Hill and, Brian Burns. Those guys are all seniors that didn't necessarily start last year but played very significant roles. So same thing on the defensive line. We've got a lot of guys coming back along the defensive line that have played significant roles. Didn't necessarily register the amount of starts to be considered a returning starter, but that's okay. And then same thing in the back end with O'Shea, Colby Underwood, and Jakari Hunt. So we feel good about that, and we've got all of our specialists coming back. So on paper, we should be pretty good. We'll see if we can keep from screwing them up as coaches.
At this point, we'll go ahead and open up the floor. Please state your name and your media affiliation. They'll bring a microphone to you. Right now, we ask that you keep the questions for just the players at this point in time. Then we'll open it up to the coach and the players here shortly.
O'Shea, like Coach said, you guys lose a lot of players on the defensive side. Just how much have you kind of taken it more upon yourself to be that leader on that side of the ball with the losses you guys had on that side from last year?
That was my emphasis on this season. The coaches asked me to step up. I'm more of like a quiet guy, but they asked me to step up and be the leader on the defense, more talkative and vocal. And I think I'm doing a better job at it.
Great. Any other questions for the players? I got a couple for you guys. Tyler and O'Shea, you guys are obviously leaders of this program. Talk a little bit about your responsibilities in the off season and your expectations for the rest of your team during the summer months as you prepare for the season.
Yeah, so we were tasked with stepping up and being more vocal leaders, and whenever guys hear stuff from the coaches, they hear that all the time, but whenever it comes from us players, it means a lot more. And then our job in the summer is, we were getting on our guys every day, calling them, texting them, telling them to get to workouts, because we need everybody here if we're going to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, you betcha. O'Shea, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, we, like Tyler Stilwell, we player-led practice and just making sure everybody's there, making sure everybody's – because if you don't have everybody there, you got to have everybody bought in. If
Sure.
you actually want to be good.
Mm-hmm. Well, at this point in time, if you guys want to we open up the floor to any questions for the coaches, for Coach, or either of the players.
Coach, just coming off how you guys ended the conference season, especially last year, going on that run of wins, just how much confidence does that kind of carry over into this season, and knowing that you guys are just trying to keep building on what you were able to accomplish last season?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been important within our football program is consistency, and that's something we're talking about a great deal within our football program. And we've started slow the last couple of years, so there's got to be some change. There's got to be some things that we're doing as coaches, to figure that stuff out. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. So we're trying to make some changes within our football program, the way that we're approaching it. I think one of the great difficulties at the Division II level oftentimes is, do you know exactly who you have? And last year was case in point is we lost a lot of offensive football players from the year before, and we started very slow on the offensive side of the ball. We didn't really know who we had. It's hard to tell when the live bullets start flying and all those type of things. So I think we've got to do a great job as coaches of really figuring that stuff out early on, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We've got a pretty good clue of what we have on the offensive side of the ball and special teams. But I think that's the key. That's what coaching's all about. Don't try to run a square peg in a round hole. Make sure that you're doing what the kids can do. And then you've got to adjust schematically oftentimes, and the momentum going through that we ended with. We ended up with 3 straight shutouts at one point, but then you go start looking at being consistent, and you also get shut out at one point during the season when we played Fort Hays State. We get shut out. We force 5 field goals in that football game and get beat 15-0. And it's just a consistency thing that we've got to have. In our football program. It's not necessarily offensive, it's not defensive, it's not special teams, so it looks directly at us as coaches, and we've got to find that.
And for you again, or either of the players, if they want to answer this too, but just what did that win over Northwest do for you guys last season? Obviously, you had the Hayes game after that, but then you got on a run. Just what did that win, obviously on your home field, what did that do for your team last year and the program in general?
All right, you guys go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously that was a big win. We've never beat Northwest in a long time since I've been here, O'Shea's been here. But, it made us a little bit overconfident because obviously we go into the next week and we get shut out. But we expect to do things like that whenever we go into every game expecting to win. So it wasn't, we go one game at a time. So that's kind of what that meant to us.
I just feel like it showed us that, like coaches always tell us, we can beat anybody once we play to our abilities. We played to our abilities that day, and it just showed.
I think from the outside looking in, it's a big deal. We're not gonna. It's not as if we didn't take it as a big deal. We played well in that football game, and we schemed the game and put our kids in a good situation. They went out and executed it, and and you end up winning the football game. So I think that's really goes back to what we as coaches are doing as well, and making sure that our kids are put in the best situations possible. And I think we put them in really good situations in that football game, and they went out and executed the heck out of it. But then also on the other side of it is you get a group of kids that believe in each other. And really, after the tough start that we had last year, we started 0-2, and then we have a catastrophic issue that happens in our football program, an accident that took place in our football program, and it really galvanized our football team, honestly. I think God's got a way of doing that, and when you face tough adversity and you just keep taking the next right step, and that's really what our kids did, and I think Derek Loxident was a great example for our football program, and there was a belief that really took off after that Nebraska Kearney game, and there was a lot of injuries that took place throughout the season, but it was a next man up, and that was that type of attitude. And I think going into that football game, or coming out of that football game, that built some confidence in our guys. But I also think maybe it was a little bit more confidence than what they truly needed, and it was almost a, with the lore that Northwest Missouri has and the success that they've had recently, sometimes you feel like you've arrived and you've never arrived.
And then obviously quarterback battle again. You're kind of in a similar spot, although these guys now all have experience coming into this year. But what have you seen out of those three particularly competing, and how do you feel about that spot?
Yeah, that's a fun room. We were very fortunate and are very fortunate to have all of those guys back, and we've got three guys that won football games for us in the MIAA last year. Keats Calhoun started the season, ends up having a knee injury, gets a medical red shirt, so he's going to have time. And then Chandler Garrett comes in, and he's able to beat Northwest Missouri. He was the starting quarterback in that football game, and then he gets injured against Fort Hays, and Will Collins steps in, and those guys just go out and execute football plays. And what's been fun with those guys is they're each other's biggest cheerleaders. They've got great relationships with each other. Yes, they're competitive. They want to be the guy. We want there to be one guy. There's going to be competition throughout, but the great thing about that is you very much package things for a kid like Chandler Garrett. You've got Keats Calhoun, who's been in the program longer than anybody. Really has probably the greatest understanding of anybody within the room, and then kid that's uber talented like Will Collins, and is really coming into his own in his leadership, and he just gets out of. This is one of the cool things about that room too, is Will Collins just finished his ROTC program at Fort Knox in an officer training. He just flew back into Lawton on Friday. And just great leaders in that room, great people in that room. So it's exciting to have those guys, and it'll be a lot of fun going through fall camp.
If there are no further questions, Coach, I want to say thank you for coming and bringing O'Shea and bringing Tyler, and guys, thanks for your time, and good luck to you this season.
All right, thank you very much.